In this topic, we're solving rational equations. Here's what's going to happen. Whenever we have one fraction on each side, here's what we do. We just simply cross multiply. So we get 5 times x minus 2 equals 6 times 2x plus 3. To solve, distribute the 5, so it's 5x minus 10 equals, distribute the 6, so it's 12x plus 18. Next, we move all the variables to one side, so we get negative 10 equals 7x plus 18. All I've done is subtract 5x. Now we're going to move the numbers to the other side, so 7x equals negative 28. Final answer is x equals negative 4. Now last but not least, always make sure that this answer, when you put it back into the denominators here, is not equal to 0. If you put in negative 4 here, it's still not going to equal 0 because that's negative 8 plus 3 gives us negative 5. Negative 4 minus 2 gives us negative 6. Now in example 2, we're going to first put a 1 over the denominators, over anything that doesn't have a denominator. Now we label the common denominator. In our case, the denominator in this one is x times x plus 3. So we're going to rewrite the problem except leave room, because what we're going to be doing is we're multiplying by the common denominator. So we're going to multiply by whatever our common denominator is. In this case, x times x plus 3. X times x plus 3. X times x plus 3. Now, if you notice, the x plus 3 will cancel here and the x will cancel here. And we want this to happen, so the denominators are gone. Now we work out the problem using what we know. We distribute the 5x, so it becomes 5x squared plus 15x minus 6x equals 12x plus 36. Combine like terms, so it's 5x squared plus 9x equals 12x plus 36, and again solve. So we need to make sure this is equal to 0, and the reason I'm doing this is because of the x squared. We're going to subtract 12x from both sides, so it becomes negative 3x, and we're going to subtract 36 to the other side, so we get 0. First thing we do, and in this case we're going to factor it. You can use whatever method you like to use to factor, but in my case I always like to use the x factor. So we want a number that multiplies to negative 180 but adds to negative 3. So the two numbers that will work in this case will be 18 and 10 don't work. And one of the tips I have for big numbers, 18 and 10 don't work, so we want to make this a little bit bigger. Chances are 12 goes into 18, so we get 12 times goes into 18 once, leaving a remainder of 6, so it's 15. So our combination will be negative 15 and positive 12, because again it multiplies to negative 180 and adds to negative 3. Now one other tip I have on this. Anytime there's a number in front, we always divide by that number in front of the x squared. Always divide by the x squared. So this is really x minus 3, and this is really x plus 12 over 5. Normally, if we're factoring, I would say move the 5 to the front, but one of the shortcuts we can take, we can set each one of these equal to 0, so we can say x equals 3, and x equals negative 12, x equals negative 12 over 5. And all I've done is really change these signs. Because I'm solving an equation, I don't really care about what it factors to as much as solving the equation itself. Example 3. Again, we're going to find the common denominator. The common denominator here, x to the third. Keep in mind, we take the most number of x's, and that's our common denominator. So in this case, if I multiply by x to the third, again, I'm going to multiply by x to the third here, and I'm going to multiply by x to the third. We're going to write out our new equation. Since I have 1x in the bottom, this becomes x squared plus 2 times x. Again, 3 minus 2 gives us 1x equals 3. The x to the thirds completely cancel out in this case. To solve, subtract 3 from both sides, so we get x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. X factor, and there's a 1 in front of this, so it becomes 1 times negative 3. Our two numbers, and they have to add up to positive 2, so our two numbers are positive 3 and negative 1. Again, I'm looking for the two numbers that multiply to the top but add to the bottom. So we get x plus 3, x minus 1. Now at this point, you can just solve the equation and say x equals negative 3 and positive 1. Again, all I'm doing is taking the opposite of whatever sign is there.